Okay, well, welcome, Barbara Becker, quantum healer. Um, Now, we've met each other through the forum, the Beyond Quantum Healing Forum. And would you like to introduce yourself?
Well, sure. Thank you,
Yeah.
Patricia. Thank you for having me today and allow me to talk about my book, Enclosure, an autobiography, and it's a spiritual autobiography. So this is my book that I was forced to write by spirit. I resisted it and caved in because I could not step one um, more stone on my path in my journey here. And this book uh, starts from 1986 to 2012. Well, my name is Barbara Becker, and I've done a lot of things in my life, a lot of experiences, and that means I've gone through a lot of changes. And a good way to kind of get a nice snapshot of everything and who I am is for a person to go to my website, barbarabeckerenergy.com. And on the About Barbara page, there is my resume. And my resume is my academics, my courses, my spiritual, metaphysical training, and it also goes into the continuing education I do for my hypnotherapy certification.
Yes, and I believe
So,
that you also have a newsletter, don't you?
yes, I publish a free monthly newsletter. And in the newsletter, I have a channeled message from my higher self. I have spiritual tips, I have my blog article. I also have a section called Inside Barbara's Life. And that's where people can find out, what is Barbara up to right now? And I share things in there that I don't share on social media, including photos. And again, that's free. And that's where people can get to know who I am and the work that I do. I am a channel and communicator. I channel my higher self for people, and they have the access to Akashic records. They can help a person understand about their past lives. They'll go into really great details about that. They'll do body scans, do healing, and all this is done right through like the same Zoom platform.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. I back in 2013, I went around the valley giving channel healing sessions for groups of people. And in fact, in one time I went up to Sedona to the Creative Life Center, and that was a whole cool experience. And after about a year, one night, Archangel Michael came into my body in front of the group and spoke with them. And then on the way back to the ranch where I lived about 50 miles northwest of Phoenix, Arizona, I asked my higher self, what's going on here? And they said that I will be now channeling them for groups, and they'll be talking in the English language.
Wow.
Instead of just the mathematical star language. And I asked them, well, do we need to practice this? And they said, nope, you're set to go. So they also said, we're going to change this to a teleconference because, well, several reasons. I was doing these sessions for people at about 6 p.m., which is rush hour traffic time. It's very hard for people to get off work, then had to switch gears to come to a channeled 1 hour session. And not only that, people come from all over the valley and they have to go through, the traffic. And this way, people can participate and receive healing and energies and answers to their questions from the comfort of their home.
Wow.
And this is recorded, so they receive a copy of the recording.
And do I understand it that it's not only a channeling, but people receive healing?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and the start of all this is in the Enclosure autobiography. Now, right now I have the sequel to this autobiography with the editor, and that book will be going from 2012 to 2021 because a whole lot has happened since 2012.
Oh, I can imagine.
And so I'm looking forward to sharing that and placing that out there. So what else do I offer? Not only these channeled sessions for people and readings, information just comes into my head. I used to do tarot card readings, and I stopped that and just went with the information just coming through.
Yeah.
And I also am a quantum healing hypnosis technique practitioner. And I've been doing this this is my 7th year now. And I have been having amazing experiences. My clients have been having amazing experiences. That the first 3 years, I put a collection of session stories together in this book, which is the first of 4 books that will be coming out.
Wow.
So now I'm beginning the research on the 2nd book. And I've already been given the titles of the books. Now it's just a matter of having the experiences, documenting them, and then sharing them through books. So,
wow.
And
could you share how your own healing journey started? What brought you into the field of healing?
Okay, well, I used to be a critical care nurse, very skeptical, judgmental, really tight. And I used to make fun of people like me. Can you believe it? Yeah. So I was, people like me are too woo-woo, and that wasn't in my reality, my paradigm. And it was in 1986, I had a near fatal automobile accident. I had a lot of internal injuries, and it was after the recovery period. I had to go to the hospital. I spent a month in an electric hospital bed in my parents' living room. I recovered within 6 weeks and went back to work because my whole mindset was get back to work. This is very unusual for a person to have a quick recovery like that, because usually it takes months to recover. And I used to do automobile injury medical claims for an insurance company. And I did that for just about 5 years. I have reviewed thousands of cases, and there are only 2 instances where people recovered really fast. So after that automobile accident, spontaneously, I started having out-of-body experiences, wide awake, broad daylight, even in conversations with people. And when it started, I felt really weird. And of course, I didn't know what was going on. And basically what I was experiencing was I was like sitting with a person on the sofa in the living room talking, and part of my consciousness would go up to the ceiling or corner of the room and be staring back, looking at myself and the other person, the furniture, the walls, and wondering, what is all this?
Yeah.
It was like foreign. And then listening to us talk, so what is that? What is speech? Okay, what are these sounds?
Yeah.
It was like totally foreign. And then that part of me would come back into my body. This would have happened about 5 times a day.
That's a lot.
And about the 3rd time it happened, I just kind of decided to surrender to it and just say, okay, here we go again. I never talked about it to anybody. I didn't receive any therapy for it. I just rationalized that this was a way that my brain is processing trauma.
Yeah.
And I noticed a personality change in myself where, being a critical care nurse, being responsible, paying your bills, being on time, that all went out the window. I could care less.
Yeah.
And that surprised me. And I was like observing myself going, wow, well, again, this must be a way of processing trauma. these experiences occurred over an 8-month period, and they gradually decreased in the number, the frequency, until eventually I no longer was doing that. I feel like there was like an integration that occurred, and I never talked about it to anybody. And then it was on a trip to Tahiti. I was on a boat, and there just happened to be a psychologist sitting next to me. And I told her about this, and she explained what this was from her perspective. Okay.
Yeah.
And so she agreed this was about the processing of trauma. And then I would, later in life, as I became a legal nurse consultant, I was having conversations with psychologists on a professional level for claims I was looking at. And I would ask them about this, and they'd say they have no idea what I was talking about. So that kind of gave me a little clue. Maybe this is something spiritual and metaphysical that can't be explained. So usually when a person has a severe life-threatening illness or accident, that breaks open the door to their awakening.
Yeah.
That didn't happen with me. Everything was put on the back burner for about 10 years. And then in 1997, I was working in the emergency room, and I saw this little flyer for a Meet Your Guardian Angel play shop. And I thought, that'd be kind of fun. Because I grew up Catholic, and we were taught by the nuns, you have a guardian angel, give it a name, that was it. And I thought it'd be kind of fun to meet my guardian angel, however that is going to occur. So I went to this play shop, and the famous Ann Elbers is the one who facilitated it. There were about 16 of us women from the hospital I was working at, and she helped us to understand about angels, about love, and it just felt so wonderful. She helped us to go into a meditation, and she said that all we have to do is ask to meet our guardian angel, and just allow however they are to present themselves, whether it's you see them through your third eye, or you might have a touch on your shoulder, maybe a breeze goes across your face, or maybe a smell like a rose or something.
Yeah.
And then after we came out of the meditation, she gave everybody an opportunity to talk about their experience. And she went around the room, and when she came to me, I said, nada, nothing. I didn't see, feel, nothing. I said, dud. And she said, that's okay. And I'm sitting there going, God, what's wrong with me? Why can't I see my guardian angel? How come I didn't have experience? Everybody did. And see how the ego kind of comes in play and feels that, you did something wrong, or maybe you're not worthy, or, something. And so I went home, and the next day I did the same meditation in my bed, and my third eye opened up. For about 3 seconds, I saw this short movie. Boom, boom, done. I thought, okay, that was cool. And then I did this again the following morning, and my third eye opened up, and there I saw my guardian angel.
Wow.
And she,
so beautiful.
she, because there's no gender, was doing this.
Yeah.
I said, boy, you're a ham. And so I asked my angel, could you please give me your name? And I saw in flaming letters in the middle of the air my guardian angel's name. And that's in the book. And I said, oh, thank you so much. And that was it. I got up, and my husband was still asleep. I was married at the time. And I went out to the kitchen, had my breakfast, went to the guest bathroom where I took my shower to not disturb my husband. And as I was getting ready to take my shower, I took off my pajamas, and I looked in the mirror, and there I see these red first-degree burn burn marks on my chest in the formation of the sun with the rays.
Oh, that's so
And
beautiful.
I noticed that's where my hands were.
Wow.
And of course, it freaked me out. I ran to the phone, naked as a jaybird, and called Anne. I said, Anne, what is this? It doesn't hurt. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's not even warm. So she said, well, Barbara, you were the most skeptical person in the room that night.
Yeah.
And skeptical people need tangible evidence that our angels and guides are here. And that was your evidence. And she said, you notice it doesn't hurt? I said, yeah, that's right. And she said, oh, by the way, you're a healer. And I thought, what the heck is that? I had no idea what she was talking about. I'm a nurse, not a healer.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I got very curious and I said, okay, sign me up for one of those angel readings. I'll come over and I want to know what's going on here. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I went to her place and she gave me an hour reading, and wow. And I think what really helped anchored in to my belief system that something is more than what I think it is when I left her place and I'm going down the road driving. My eye vision was like an eagle. I mean,
Oh, that's amazing.
super, super sharp. And I could see letters from so far away. And I went, wow, this is, something's going on here. And that's what began my journey. And I started reading books, attending classes, seminars, conferences, talking with more people, and reading articles, and of course having sessions, angel readings with Anne. And these were about every 6 months to give me an idea of where I'm at on my awakening.
Yeah.
So that's and I found out I was really wound up pretty tight in 1999. I realized I had a control issue. I was like, well, you have to be if you're a critical care nurse, because people die if you're not in control.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
I was always staying 1 or 2 steps ahead of death for my client, for my patients.
Yeah.
And I came upon this book by Guy Finley, The Secret of Letting Go. And it's a small book, and it's got like a workbook presentation to it.
Yeah.
That was my game changer. I was finally able to let go. And that's
and that changes everything, doesn't it?
Oh, it does. That's the key. And what a valuable gift he gave to the world. In fact, I just recently suggested that book to a friend of mine who needs to be a little bit, less, even though he's amazing in his abilities to allow his higher self to come through. He's part Native American, so he has this in his DNA lineage.
Yeah.
So he just needs to do a little tweaking there, and he's going to take off like a rocket.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And you mentioned in the beginning something of star language. And I also read something about one of your guides. And maybe I shouldn't spoil that, but by sharing that, but I'm so curious about that connection that you have with this alien guide. Would you like to share something about it? Or should we?
Okay, is this about the mathematical star language? Is that what you're...
Well, I read something. I think it was part of your own soul. I'm not sure if I pronounce it right. Zagians?
Oh, yes.
Would you like to tell something about it? I was so fascinated when I read it.
Good. Because this is I'm going to give a little teaser that will segue into my next book,
Ah,
the
great.
sequel. So I don't remember exactly how that story went, but I do remember that I came to know that we come from everywhere, right? We're everything.
Exactly.
We come
Yeah.
from source. We're everywhere. We're everything. We're all ETs.
Yeah.
We're all everybody, everything. However, it's kind of fun to find out, where was I before? What type of experiences have I had? And one of them is that I'm from a planet that the culture of these beings, and I've seen them, probably the first time I saw myself was in a dream. And I was helping someone with their back pain. And when I looked in the mirror, I saw my extraterrestrial form.
Yeah.
And I still have it burned in my memory. And I have these large eyes, okay, almond shaped black eyes. And then this feature. I'm about 4 feet tall, I have long, like 3 fingers,
Yeah.
and this culture, they're called, the the beings are called Zagians.
Ah, yes.
And the Zagians don't really have much emotion because as we evolve from this human experience, because we come here to experience emotions and feelings and all the different um, attributes and experiences as possible, because as we do that, the soul evolves.
Exactly.
And eventually we are able to put this all integrated, that it's not necessary to have so much emotion.
Yeah.
However, the Zagians, they want to know about emotions. So I was sent to planet Earth as one of my missions is to learn about emotion, experience it, and then teach them. So every night I leave my body and it's like I go into this liquid light form to a broadcast station, which is like this huge
Interesting.
white globe
Yeah.
looking apparatus. And I talk about my experiences of the day, and it's broadcast to millions of Zagians, so they get to learn about this. It kind of reminds me of how we are on this stage, this movie, because we
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
billions of souls watching us, and
Yeah.
they're very, very entertained by us,
Yeah. Yeah.
everything we do and get into, and that's what it reminds me of. Yeah.
Yeah.
So in my next book, I will be disclosing the name of that planet.
Oh, I'm so curious. I can't wait to read it.
It's not in the solar system, it's way beyond. So
Ah,
many of us have come from a long, long way
yeah.
to,
Yeah. Yeah.
to come here to help.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so fascinated by that. And as a quantum healer, I never was really into the alien incarnations until I had my own experiences, quite similar to what you're describing, like seeing that part of you in another existence. And so I'm also writing about the star seeds, is what I call it. So I'm always so fascinated when I hear people talk about it. And so when I was reading your book and I said, oh, I want to know more about it. So I'm really happy that you are going to write more about it in the next book. So, and I think it's important right now that people are becoming aware that they also have this, multi-dimensional part, or our cosmic part, as we would call it. And yeah.
Yeah.
And now another part of my question was, because you mentioned something about your channelings as if they are translating the star language into, our language.
Mhm.
How do you see that? How would you describe that as a star language?
Well, it was, let's see, years ago. I think it was just after my Reiki Master Attunement ceremony. I was guided to have or participate, receive a shamanic opening ceremony with a shaman. And this is where your gifts come online.
Yeah.
And when you're ready, they'll come.
Yeah.
And so the shaman took me up. We climbed up the mountain here in Phoenix. It's full of white quartz. In fact, there's a throne made of white quartz. It's a huge chair. And we spent the day. He taught me all the procedures that a shaman does. And he did an attunement, we did ceremony. And then as we're walking down the mountain back to our cars, I saw up in the air these two contrails of these jets, and it was like a cross. Okay. When you see a cross, that means you're at a crossroads.
Ah.
Your life is going to change. That's a good sign. Okay.
Ah.
And the shaman said to me, just see what happens. It's something's going to happen. Just be aware. And it was again, I go in the book, I go into exactly what happened that night and how my body moves without my control of it. Yeah. And I began receiving energetic attunements in the form of bolts of electricity running through my body. It looks like I'm having a seizure, but I'm not.
Yeah.
And I would hear in my head, incoming, here comes another one. And they always made sure that I wasn't near like a swimming pool where I would fall into the pool and drown, or by a glass table where I'd fall on the table. It was always where I was near or already sitting or laying down on a bed, sofa, chair. Okay.
Yeah.
And these would come through. My whole body would be moving and felt fine afterwards. I accepted this, and this kept on going over and over and over again over I think it was a 10-month period. It just so happened that I didn't work during that 10 months.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I think there were some adjustments being done. I had gone to a spiritual fair to do angel card readings and to kind of test out this gift that I brought to the planet. And I met a tarot card reader, psychic, very, very, very good. And she invited me to her meditation groups so that I could experiment and find out what's going on here. And so I did that. And what did I do? I would lay on the floor with a blanket and pillow, and the energies would run through my body, and this mathematical star language would come out of my vocal cords.
Wow.
At the same time, the shaman invited me to one of his gatherings, and these gatherings are for meditation. He plays several musical instruments: Native American flute, didgeridoo, crystal bowls, sound healing, and he would give a little talk, and then he would have us go into meditation. And there was about 20 of us there. I sat up front, and while we were in meditation, he saw this blue light above my head, and he just put his hand up like this and went like that, and the blue light went into my body. I began, my arms and hands were up in the air.
Yeah.
And I wasn't saying anything, but they're going like this. And then it stopped. It's only like maybe, I guess, 20, 30 seconds. And then it was after that evening, he shared with me, if someone saw what was going on in the room during that, Barbara, they would probably freak out, because when your arms and hands were moving, everyone in the room had some part of their body twitching.
Wow. That's amazing.
He says, you're doing something. I went, okay.
Wow.
And then he invited me the next month to come again, but he said, this time, let's see you do that again. I like to see what happens. So I said, okay, I'll come again. I'll lay on the floor with a blanket and a pillow, and then we'll have all the chairs of the people kind of like around me. Okay.
Yeah.
And so he was playing this beautiful music, and my legs are up in the air. It's just the energies are just running through.
Yeah.
The mathematical star language coming out, and that was that. And then the third month, he asked me, I want you to come and I want you to be up here with me, because you're definitely doing something for everybody.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna leave that there. There's more into that story. But what happened was, I didn't know what this language was coming out of my vocal cords. And one evening or one night in a dream, I was up on my spaceship. I'm a commander of a large teaching and research ship. And I asked this ET, what is this thing that's coming out of my vocal cords? And they said, it's a mathematical star language.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So some people call it a light language. I was told mathematical star language, and it comes from my experiences over many, many lifetimes of working in the stars, and I work in a person's star codes.
Yeah.
The more I don't know about it, the more powerful it is. I don't know what I'm doing.
That's interesting.
They do.
Yeah.
And I just allow.
Yeah.
And I have done research. I don't find any information out there about star codes.
Yeah.
Nobody's writing anything about them, but I have the ability to manipulate them, rearrange them, and a person has healing.
Absolutely.
I found out later that this gift I brought, it's automatic.
Yeah.
I take a person in a past life, they're healed, they come back, and it's all done unconsciously. We could sit here and have a beer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And that person will receive healing.
So it's
I've
about
gone into metaphysical shops, and the people working there, as soon as I walk in, I walk up to them, they start mumbling, they don't know what they're doing or saying, and then they kind of come out of it and they go, oh, sorry about that. And I said, it's okay. You got something.
Yeah.
So what does that mean is my higher self was working with their higher self, whatever they need.
So it's about stepping aside and allow your higher self to work with the higher self of that other person. And it's like these codes are being transferred, right? Is that
Right.
how it is? Yeah.
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 And when I got to know more about this, I thought, oh, wow, maybe I can come up with my own modality, and I can have a little certification course, and I could teach this. And I found out, no. No,
Yeah.
it would take a person 20 years to learn this, and they would only mimic. That's all they could do.
Yeah.
So, okay, so that's all that is.
Yeah.
And
so you were kind of chosen to be the channel for that, isn't it?
yeah. And
Yeah.
so I basically just call it Barbara Becker healing, Barbara Becker channeling, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
There's really no label on it, but we humans like to have the labels so we can identify and
Yeah.
and sort that out. But,
I think my dog is in the other room. I've put him in the other room, but I'm not sure if you can hear him.
no, I
No?
can't.
Oh, okay, then it's fine. Sometimes I hear his feet, you know.
Yeah. Well, they love, it's interesting. Whenever I talk with the person on the phone,
Yeah.
the pets come, they got to be right here
Yeah.
next to their mom or dad, because they can feel the energy coming through the
Ah,
phone. Yeah.
yeah,
When I do my pre-talks for QHHT, the dogs are there, they settle down, and
exactly.
they just love that energy. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he does that too. Yeah.
Isn't that cool? Because they
Yeah.
know, you can
Yeah.
feel it.
They feel it, huh? Yeah. And the title of your book, Enclosure, I have it here, and I'm so glad that I finally have the time to read it. I really love your book.
Thank
And
you.
now I haven't completed it yet, so maybe it's already in the book, but I'm curious, what does the title mean? Why does it have this title?
Good one. Well, it's also in the introduction. There's a little hint there. We who come here for an experience of not being opened, because like the new ones, they're coming in, and all their clairvoyance, their clairaudience, all their extra senses are online. As long as no one is trying to suppress that and trying to make them to doubt that. But there are those of us who want to have this experience of being, closed down, so we can experience that opening, that awakening. And it also helps us to understand the bigger picture of this whole journey of consciousness and humanity and everything. And so we can look back at who we were, how we behaved, what we thought, and appreciate it, that it was a divine design.
Yeah.
And nothing good or bad about it. It is. Well, when you are awakening from being a very restrictive, judgmental, critical, egotistical person, you step out for a while out of that enclosure of your
Ah,
comfort, right? What is
yeah.
familiar,
Yeah.
where you, in order to open up, you have to step out of that enclosure, step out of the familiar, and allow the unfamiliar become familiar.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And so that's what I would do. I would step out a little bit, do a little angel readings, and then I would kind of like put that off because I needed to be, productive and have a job. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I was too scared. In my book, I talk about my fears, my worries, my doubts.
Yeah.
I mean, it was very scary for me. And so you have to walk through that fear to get rid of it. That's the
Exactly.
only way. You got to walk through that fear. And so I would step out, go get a job in corporate America, and then leave, and then do another one, and then come back, until eventually I said, that's it. I'm done. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's so beautiful when what I read in your book is um, you described something, what you did as a child. It's sort of like a meditation that you did as a child. I
Yes.
thought it was so beautiful because when I read that, I thought, wow, this is the soul of well, I'm always careful in using the word enlightened being, but that's really what came up for me. Like, wow, this is really the soul of,
And I
yeah,
didn't know this. I
yeah,
didn't know this.
yeah,
I was brought up Catholic. I didn't even know the word meditation till my 30s.
yeah,
I didn't know what I was doing.
yeah,
I just would do it. I never tell anybody about it. But what's going to happen is in the sequel to Enclosure, I will reveal what I was doing and who I was in a past life.
Oh, you see? Oh, I feel that I'm onto it, because I was just going to say, I think blah, blah, blah. But now I think I'm going to spoil it if I mention
Well, I'm
it.
not going to say everything about it, but I'm just going to let you know
Yeah.
it was magical. And it's going to help people to understand, oh, that's how you get information? Yep, there's many ways to get information.
Yeah.
And quit doubting yourself.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. So
yeah, it was really
it was
amazing when
so
I read it. I recognized it from an exercise that I know, and from a certain tradition. And I won't mention it now because then I will spoil it for you.
yeah.
But I thought, oh wow, I recognize something here.
I'm very delighted to see that you picked up on that, because so far, no one has told me about that. Nobody has said, tell me more about that meditation you did.
Yeah.
From age 7 to age 42.
Yeah. It's very significant. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So people should read your book.
Yeah. Of going into the oneness.
Exactly.
And it's that simple.
Exactly.
A 7-year-old could do it.
Yeah.
Surely somebody in their 50s, 60s, 70s can do it. Okay.
And isn't it interesting that the children still remember their past lives and all the gifts and the abilities that they had? And it comes so natural to well, just like this example of what you did as a child in this sort of meditation. And I guess the enclosure comes right after those first 7 years, isn't it? When we are being
I was it's all in your imagination. Well, the imagination is the language of the higher self.
Yeah. Exactly.
So I had to learn that. I had a very thick skull. I had to learn it the hard way. My human design is that I want to learn things the hard way.
Yes.
Which is, it seems kind of silly, but you also understand the harder it is, the more you ascend.
Yeah, exactly.
Because we didn't come here to lay around the pool eating bonbons.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about QHHT work that I do. I help people see themselves for the first time.
Yeah.
See the beautiful soul that they are and what they're really doing. And it's like a deer in the headlights as they look in that mirror and go,
oh, yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
So as I am going through your book, I can really see that it's a journey of enlightenment, I guess. And how would you describe enlightenment for people who are not familiar with that?
Enlightenment. It's self-realization of who you really are and what's really going on. And it's not like you all of a sudden become something that is no longer human. And like we say in Tai Chi, before enlightenment, you chop wood and carry water. After enlightenment, you chop wood and carry water. Okay, you still do this. But I think what happens through your journey of enlightenment is life becomes where you appreciate it more, and you're able to look at your whole journey and see it all as a creation of love.
Yeah.
And that everything is love. That's it.
That's it, isn't it? Yeah.
It's love. Yeah.
That's it. That's all it takes to rise above duality and fears, and it sounds simple, but it isn't simple.
The thing is, just because I've allowed myself to expand or elevate my consciousness, I'm still working on myself.
Yeah.
I'm still doing inner work
Yeah.
because it never stops. Even when we leave this human body, we continue and continue because God wants us to experience.
Yeah, exactly.
Consciousness wants us to experience. Yeah.
Yes.
No.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. It's amazing here to be human.
It is,
We're
isn't it?
feel so blessed now. Yeah. And no matter what I experienced in the past, I love it even more, which sounds crazy when you're not awakened.
Yeah.
All that suffering, you love it even more? Are you masochistic? No. Appreciation.
Yeah.
But it did for you, not to you.
Oh, that's beautiful how you say that. Yeah. What he did for you and not to you. Yeah. And I guess, well, I think your story is really, I think, a wonderful example about what it's like to become a healer and going through all your own, well, pain and fears and rise above it. And what I also notice that there are some people who believe that when you are a healer, um, well, I've heard people say that it's not possible to be a healer when you have your own illnesses or um, physical issues. And I've always disagreed with that. And I'm someone who has an autoimmune disease, arthritis. So I've always been through going through the pain myself. And also, on the other hand, being a healer and being able to help others. And yet, on the other side, on the other hand, going through your own process. And when I read your book, I was seeing that you had the same, and I think much bigger, because of the accident that you had and the enormous pain that you have gone through and the enormous healing. I think, wow, it is such a journey that you have been through. It's
And
really, yeah.
yeah, and you're alluding to something very special, and there's a connection for you. And this is, I had a condition called physical urticaria, which means all the mast cells in your body become inflamed. The mast cells, MAST, are responsible for the allergic response
Ah,
in your body. And does it feel good? You have to be on antihistamines around the clock just to feel normal. And I go into the symptoms in the book. And I was on those medications for 2 years. And after 2 years, I said, that's it. I got to do something about this. Because what if I am someplace and I can't get the medicines? What's going to happen then?
yeah.
So
Yeah.
I saw this little advertisement for Ginseng Jitsu, which is an energy modality that Mary Burmeister brought from Japan, just like Reiki was brought back over here. And she established a school, and it's here in
Ah,
Scottsdale, Arizona. And there's an advertisement for it, and I got this intuitive hit. This is going to help me. And I called the practitioner and I said, I don't know what you do. I can't even say this name, but I have this feeling that you're going to help me get rid of my physical urticaria. And she said, well, I haven't done that one, but I'm willing to try it. You are. I said, okay. So
yeah.
what do I do? It's similar to a Reiki session. You just lay on like a Reiki table, and the practitioner places his or her fingers on different parts of your body. Okay.
Ah,
And healing is transmitted, energies are transmitted.
yeah.
And these were 1-hour sessions once a month. And there was some homework I had to do. And it was near the end of that year that this was 2002 when my husband and I went to Europe for 3 weeks. And And part of that trip was to go to Amsterdam, Holland. And had a great time there, except
Yeah.
what is the name of that cute little town?
Zaandam.
You know,
Zaandam.
where it's a cute little village they have set up, along the canal with the
Oh, yeah.
windmills.
Yeah, Zaanse Schans, something
Yes,
like that. I
yes.
think that's what you mean.
Yeah, you can watch people make cheese and make
Yeah,
wooden shoes, and it's just
yeah,
lovely. And
yeah.
so we went there because specifically we wanted to go to the Floriade. We went to the Floriade, but there was it was not the flower part of the Floriade. So we got on a train and went to the Kukenhof, and it was the last day of the Kukenhof. So I could see all the beautiful
Oh,
tulips and everything. It was wonderful.
yeah.
Well, as I'm walking around, the windmills, and I started sneezing, and I was sneezing so much it was ridiculous. And I just started feeling the achiness, and I'm going, oh boy, I'm getting sick. And so
Yeah.
just, appreciate everything. And we went back to the hotel. That night, I could not lay down and sleep. There was so much drainage coming through.
Uh-huh.
And
Like a release almost, or not?
I was releasing something
Yeah.
really big. This was really significant what happened. And I have an affinity for windmills. When I see a windmill, I start to cry because my heart chakra opens up. There's something really special about windmills.
Yeah.
And I did have a past life there. So I'm going to kind of jump forward to when I came back
Yeah.
from that trip. I was still sick. And when I went to the practitioner, the Jinsen Jitsu practitioner, she saw my nose was red. And so we did a session. And that was when I had a very mystical experience near the end of the session. And this was the last session where this blue light was trying to come into my body. So I invited it in. And then a Native American spirit took over my vocal cords and chanted.
Wow.
I was not breathing. And then it transformed or morphed into the highest angelic tones you could ever hear. And this went on for about 5 minutes without a breath.
Amazing.
And my consciousness is like sitting going, oh, this is interesting. I'm not even breathing. I'm just enjoying the show that's going on. And then it stopped, and I started breathing again. And the practitioner said, what was that? And I told her what happened from my side. And I sat up and I said, I think we're done. And she said, Barb, your nose is not red anymore. I had clear sinuses, felt perfectly normal. And she took that case to a conference of psychiatrists, psychologists, and mental therapists.
Yeah.
And when she presented it, she said, Barbara, their jaws were wide open. What we did in that year. And that physical urticaria was gone. My seasonal allergies were gone. They're still gone.
Wow.
And I live in Phoenix, Arizona, where we have lots of dust and dust storms. Allergy pollen doesn't bother me at all. So that's what I discovered. It's the inner work that you do that can get rid of these symptoms that we have.
So do you think the inner work is about remembering and then releasing? Or can it be released without remembering?
Because either way, during that year, I was having spontaneous past life regressions.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I journaled everything. And I journaled everything that came out of my body, where it was located in my body. And I put that all in Enclosure. So people can learn from that.
Yeah.
And there's lots of wonderful Jinsen Jitsu practitioners out there, and a person may be guided to do that modality. Yeah,
Exactly.
my perspective is there's zillions of modalities, and you will be attracted to what is appropriate for you.
Yeah, and I think your book is full of those little treasures where you touch upon healing modalities and things that helped you not only to heal but become a healer. And I think there's so many little treasures there. So I think people can learn a lot from reading your book. Yeah.
I hope so.
Yeah. And so you mentioned that you're writing the next book, the follow-up book.
Yes.
And would you like to share a little bit about what that book is about?
Well, that goes, let's see. I talk more about how I became a QHHT practitioner, my first, my extraterrestrial contact with the Arcturians, channeling the Arcturians on a radio show, and being introduced to QHHT, having a couple of sessions, and listening to my higher self talk. And it, the practitioner was taken aback by my higher self that she called me a couple days later and said she'd like to meet them again and find out who are they. So she helped me find out more about my higher self.
Yeah.
And over the years, more and more of my opening, more about who I am, why I'm here. Let's see, I'm kind of blank right now because it's been, I haven't looked at the book for a month because my editor still hasn't. I'm waiting for her to send it back so I can go through all the edits and get that ready. And I've got the book cover done, and it's just a matter of sometime this year it's coming out. And I can't tell you when, and I left it up to God.
Exactly.
It'll come out when it's ready, and I'll make that announcement and everything.
And I'm sure that people can find that information on your website. And
yes. So like Enclosure, this is in all formats. So it's print, Kindle, and audible.com. And that's it through Amazon. That's Barnes and Noble, Ingram Spark. And Time Travels, my other book, is in print and Kindle. And last August, I made 12 videos of me reading select chapters from that book. And these are YouTube videos, so people can go to my website. They're there for free. So some people don't read books or don't have time, but they can get an idea of what that's like. And something I'd like to add in here, but I don't advertise, is because this is what my clients tell me.
Yeah.
They can put the physical book on their body and pain goes away.
Now, I immediately believe that.
Yeah.
Because today I wasn't feeling a bit unwell, and I was reading your book and my energy changed. Yeah. And I was really feeling it. And I thought, is this because of the beautiful story? Then it's so, it's like going on a journey with you, isn't it? But I always believe that when you hold a paper book in your hands, that the energy of the writer comes through it. And so I immediately believe that it's true. Yeah.
And another thing about creation, when we create something, we put our energy into it.
Yeah.
And I give a demonstration in Enclosure about that because I used to make porcelain dolls. Okay. Uh-huh. And as we evolve, that energy evolves.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is really wild.
That's interesting.
Yeah, but there's no separation, of course. That wouldn't make sense. Yeah. And so
you mean that when you created something like years ago and you have evolved, that thing has also evolved? Wow, that's amazing. Yeah. it makes a lot of sense. I
Yeah.
never thought about it, but it makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
And another thing to do is when you read a book, pick it up later, like whether it's months or years, read it again. You're going to get so much more out of it.
Yeah.
It's going to be like, wow. And it's because you've changed.
Yeah.
Your consciousness has changed.
Yeah.
And you're connected to all consciousness. So you're able to appreciate even more out of it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really beautiful. And I think, well, I can't believe that we've already been talking for about an hour. So we should bring this to a close. And well, I just want to say that I think your book Enclosure is all about opening up and finding that we are so much more than this vehicle, this physical body, and it's really a treasure. And so I can only encourage people to read it. And maybe you would like to mention your website one last time.
Sure. My website is barbarabeckerenergy.com. And there's a contact page on there if you want to send me a message. And my email address is barbarabeckerhealing@gmail.com.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for being my guest today. And I really enjoyed this conversation. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, well, we see each other somewhere on the Quantum Healers Forum, probably. And,
yeah, I'll be making a comment later today. And it's,
yeah.
no, it's good. It's a good comment. So I needed to sleep on it to construct it. So
Yeah.
okay. Right.
And maybe we can talk again when your next book is out, is published.
Thank you.
Yeah?
Thank you. I'd love to.
Okay, have a wonderful day and thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.